Happy August 24th, everybody. This is a meeting for community outreach for Backdrop CMS. We're going to do a quick check-in on some of our community outreach tasks. There's a lot going on in the world of outreach this week, which is exciting. First and foremost, newsletter. We are drafting a newsletter to coincide with our most recent blog post, which should be ready for review this week, and it is scheduled to send on the 1st of September. And that blog post is going to be highlighting CiviCRM. Actually, the blog post is live right now. If you go to our news section, the top post is official CiviCRM support for Backdrop CMS. It's a fantastic blog post written by Herb Duell here about a little bit about how their agency uses CiviCRM, a little bit about what it is, and then there's a little how-to section on how to install Civi with Backdrop. And then he's highlighted extras like the layouts and the way those work with Civi, and the web form integration. So it's a pretty good high-level overview, touches on lots of different topics, lots of great content written by someone who knows a lot about it. It's a fantastic blog post, and I'm thrilled to have it up. The next newsletter will highlight that blog post and try and drive traffic to our site. And that should be out next week. I've lost the agenda. Here it is. And then also exciting, I reached out to the folks at CiviCRM to let them know that we were going to be doing a blog post and a newsletter to highlight Civi and Backdrop together. And they have also expressed interest in doing a couple of news posts on the CiviCRM site about Backdrop and Civi working together too. I thought it might also be a nice follow-up to get someone from Civi to do a blog post on Backdrop, talking more about Civi at kind of a higher level about different kinds of things it can do. And then we just kind of mention like Backdrop and Civi work together. Here's a bunch about Civi. And that might be a nice way to fit in. And I think the Civi folks are also looking for contributors to work on blog posts on their site. So we have already reached out to Jack because we know that Jack and the folks at Palante are doing a lot of work with CiviCRM. I think Herb Duell, who wrote our blog post, would also be a great candidate for doing one over there. And it looks like Laren is also doing work on Backdrop and Civi together. So I'm going to recommend those people. If you guys are interested, CiviCRM is looking. We can try and figure out how to get everybody together. But I think it's great that everyone is excited about sharing the wonderful news about Backdrop and Civi support all at the same time. So we have a couple of other ideas for upcoming content. Backdrop 1.8 is going to be out on September 15th. And so there will obviously be a news release about that and a follow-up blog post or a follow-up newsletter maybe 2 weeks later, letting everyone know that it's out and ready to try. That'll give us 2 weeks to catch any bugs, should there be any. We also have another community spotlight coming. I think Tom has been reaching out to a couple of folks to interview to get one of those written. And hopefully we will soon have an announcement about Backdrop and the Conservancy working together that will be able to do both a blog post telling people what that means and also a newsletter that hopefully will drive people to start donating in a way that is tax deductible, which will be exciting too. So we've got a lot of great news coming up this month, next month, and the month after, which is fantastic because we're usually hurting for creating content. But there's a lot of great stuff going on in the world of the Backdrop, so I think it's looking great. In terms of events, we also have a bunch of events coming up for Backdrop. Nate and I are going to be at DrupalCon Europe. There isn't any sort of official Backdrop event happening there, but we might do like a meetup in a bar in a particular location on a particular date. If anyone happens to be in Europe and wants to chat about Backdrop, there'll be an informal gathering there. We also have Bad Camp coming up, which is a huge formal Backdrop event. And that is going to be October 18th through 21st this year. We're going to have the Backdrop Summit on Wednesday, October 18th, a full day free Backdrop training on Wednesday, October 19th. And there have been rumors about doing a Backdrop core sprint on Sunday, which is the day after the camp. And we might do that here at our house, depending on how many people are interested. We might just take over a nearby cafe if there's too many people. But that would be a fantastic problem to have. So that is the current plan. If anyone is interested in coming to Bad Camp, the website is up, registration is open, session submissions are open. I would definitely encourage you to sign up early. You want to get your free tickets before they're still free. And then I also had a note on here just to discuss, there's a huge conference that's happening in November in Portugal this year called Web Summit. Web Summit is a huge, huge conference. It has a lot of publicity. It has a lot of people from every aspect of tech usually go there and present. And on a whim, I submitted Backdrop to join what they call their Alpha program, which is a program that gives you a day of booth space plus 3 conference passes plus access to a couple of other events like parties and social gatherings and stuff at the conference. And I wasn't expecting us to get accepted because it sounded like it was specifically created for startups, but I told them our pitch and said, we're not a startup. And they're like, that's fine. It's not only for startups. It sounds like you have a great reason to be there. And they awarded us access to this Alpha program. So we get all these free conference tickets, but of course there's no stipulation for flying 3 people to Europe, which was the biggest part of the expense for us. And so I was like, oh, and they're like, and you need to accept these tickets in 2 days. And I was like, wait, what? Not ready to buy a whole bunch of tickets, airfare tickets in 3 days. So I turned down the acceptance to Alpha program. But the people who are creating Web Summit, which happens in Europe every year, also create a comparable conference in the US called Collision Conf. And that happens in New Orleans in, I think it's in June. And so they have one, they've already got a website up for Collision Conference 2018. And I think that because we were accepted into the Alpha program for Web Summit, which is a bigger event, we also have a pretty good shot about getting accepted into the Alpha Summit for next year's Collision Conference. And so I wanted to throw that out there now. We would get a day of booth space. We would be positioned with other similar products. We would just get a chance to kind of be in front of people with a computer open, demonstrating what Backdrop could do, showing people kind of first person, like, hey, this is Backdrop. It's just like Drupal, but it's got this slick user interface. We don't even have to mention Drupal because this is like not a Drupal thing. We could say it's an open source content management system as easy to use as WordPress or whatever we want to say. But we also get a lot of press too. So like a lot of big companies like TechCrunch are there, and it might be a good way for us to reach an audience that we don't normally reach just by being at this conference and trying to get our name in places. So I think that's something that's worth considering. Next year, flying to New Orleans is going to be a lot cheaper than flying to Europe. So that's also something that if we get the Alpha Summits tickets, like anyone who wants to go can. We get 3 conference tickets for free. So, you know, somebody else who wants to go to the conference, who wants to represent Backdrop, could come with us. I just think it would be a good opportunity. So I want to throw that out there and have people start thinking about that. We obviously don't have a booth, so we would need to make one. But yeah, stuff that might be a good idea for us to have anyway, long term. I don't know if you have any thoughts about that, Nate.
Yeah, no. I like the idea of getting equipment for like officially decking out a booth, though. I think that would be valuable for us to have in any case. Like we could use that at Bad Camp, even like in a much sooner opportunity. I know, like usually we're dependent upon Bad Camp to provide signage for the summit, which they do a good job of. But effective, if we bring our own signage as well for that sort of event. Potentially just pull in, even a couple more people would be cost of, $40 sign. So, yeah.
Like a banner or something that we could reuse.
Yeah, like one of the, scroll banners. Yeah, the pop-ups. Yeah. Okay. Can we put a giant Jen Lampton on it? Like
no. No life-size pictures.
Doing your best, like.
We can do a life-size dragon.
gesture.
Do lifeless dragon.
Our dragon is very horizontal to square shaped, though. He's not
Well,
very
we could
vertical
have
dragon.
a picture of his like handshake going, being like, "Hey guys, this is the dragon paw." All right, so we used to have a section on this event for like on this list for like swag, but if we're gonna do a banner thing, there's like a lot of stuff. Like we're gonna need a design, we're gonna need someone to order it, we're gonna need like delivery dates, we're gonna need stuff. So just kind of put that here, especially if we want it done by bad camp, we need to hop on that.
Yeah. Speaking of things to be done before bad camp and swag, we're low on our inventory. Yeah, just about everything. Stickers, T-shirts. We're all out of dragon T-shirts. We still are, moderately equipped for hoodies, I think, right?
Yeah, we should have enough hoodies. We just ordered more of them in all the sizes we were missing. T-shirts, I think like we ordered the dark T-shirts as our next run because the dark color was more popular than the light color for dragons. I think maybe we should not order more dragons yet. I think we should work through the ones we have. And then when we do order them, we should order a dark color with light dragon or something different than what we got last time.
Right. Wait, you're saying that we should work through? We don't have any dragons left, do we? I mean, we've got like 4 or 5.
We have a few. I mean, I don't.
But you think that we should go through the remaining the backdrop with the logo?
I don't think we should try and stock every possible option of every shirt at all times. I think we should have like one, like this is the shirt we're offering now, and then this is the shirt we're offering next. And right now we happen to have a couple of the previous shirt left over, but I don't think that means we need to reorder it because we still have a lot of the current shirt. I don't know. Open to negotiation. If anyone is watching this video and like has really strong feelings about dragon T-shirts, let us know. But we do also have this issue.
People love the dragon T-shirts.
I love dragon T-shirts. We do also have a lot of like we do not have a lot of currency, and selling the shirts gets us the currency to get more shirts. So we hadn't accounted for needing to stock twice as much. Like it's kind of a 1-for-1 thing, not a we have 2 on hand sort of thing. So I don't know. Different things to worry about. Maybe after we start getting tax deductible donations, we can order more shirts. How's that sound? Okay, and we should be fine on hoodies, but we definitely need stickers. And those are not going to break the bank.
And they're easy to reorder.
Yeah.
Although the horizontal logo ones, which I find actually we could use generally more logo stickers as well. And the logo stickers came from different places. The dragon stickers we can just straight up reorder.
Yeah.
Yeah. The dragons came from Sticker Robot, not Sticker Mule.
The dragons came from Sticker Mule. The logo stickers came from Sticker Robot. But neither one takes too long to order. Sticker Robot's a little longer, but we've got enough time.
Yeah. Oh, so you're saying we could actually just reorder from the same places?
Unless you wanted something different.
Well, I was thinking we might consolidate them on a single provider, but you're right. It'd be easier just to order them separately.
Sticker mules are cheaper, but the quality is lower. So it depends on how long you want the sticker to last. And it doesn't matter. We'll look into it.
Yeah.
Okay. Jeff, Sarah Deputy, also had a bullet point on this meeting about hack for Western MA. Let me see. He's in Gooder. There was kind of a good conversation going on in our agenda here. where he was thinking that for Backdrop, we might want to set up something called Backdrop for Good or something similar like that, where we could identify people in the Backdrop community who are interested in helping, and nonprofits or causes that we thought needed help. And then we could do something together, like in a sprint situation or maybe in free time, where we could build them a Backdrop site sort of thing. I know this has had some success in some areas and not in others. Oh, good, you're here. Do you want to fill us in, Jeff, on what you had in mind for Backdrop for Good?
Yeah, I think the first step is see if anybody's interested. It looks like you and I are. If anybody else is, we could definitely do it with just 2 people. We could do it, I figure if we put in like 10 hours a month each, depending on the size and scope of the project, of course, but we could definitely get a smallish site done. So depending on who else is interested, I guess we ask that of people in our channels. I guess that would be step 1, and then scope out a project, find a project or an organization, and then make a team and build a site or some sites. That's the way I kind of envision it. Probably like one physical Google Hangout type meeting, and the rest of the 10 hours would be development time, site building time, theming time, stuff like that.
Yeah. I think the trick there is going to be identifying the right project and nailing down the right scope. Because I've seen a couple of these things not work out very well, where you take some nonprofit that needs something and then you deliver something that's not everything they need, and then they really struggle with it because it's like, it's almost what we need, but it's not, it doesn't really work. And then if there's no kind of long-term commitment to making sure that that project is successful, then it ends up sometimes having a negative impact on how that group views the software, where it's not necessarily the software's fault, it was the way in which it was done. And so I think I love this idea, I really want to do it, but I also want to make sure that if we do invest in trying to help a group that needs help, we have kind of a longer term commitment, not just like we're all going to get together on one day and do one sprint. At the end of the day, you get what you get, and then like everybody leaves, which is how I've seen it not go well before. So if we have something where it's like, here's what you're going to get, let's like check in a week or in a month or whatever, and make sure that at different milestones, people are not ending up frustrated with what they have, but are actually getting solutions to their problems. I think that's easy enough to do as long as we just do it.
That's what we usually do for Hack for Western Mass. We meet with a client, and we have the initial meeting is like, just tell us what you want, and then we'll just put all of these things into a bucket. And then the next meeting will be without the clients, and the developers will say, this is, whatever, 10 hours, this is 50 hours. And then we go back to the client and prioritize and say, with the amount of people that we have and the amount of time, we think we can offer, 30 hours over the course of 3 months or whatever it is. And then, so let's pick out of this list of stuff you gave us, the stuff that will fit in 30 hours. Let's prioritize what will fit in there. And is that worth it? Will that make you happier? Do you need to spend some money on a non-freebie or whatever it is? And so, yeah, we try to mitigate to keep them happy, just like you were saying. But I think it is important. We did start off with a kind of first model where you just hack for a day, and basically people would get like a 90% complete thing, and it wasn't very useful to anybody. So now we have this kind of project team, some number of hours per month.
Yeah, it sounds like a much better model.
Nobody's counting, did you really put in your 10 hours or anything like that. It's just kind of a, a recommendation, or just to let people know what kind of commitment they're getting into.
Yeah. I think it sounds great.
Yeah, I think it could be a good way to get Backdrop out there and maybe get some nice sites for the portfolios and stuff. Plus, I wouldn't mind working with some of these Backdrop folks that are around.
Yeah, it would be good team building experience for us too.
Yeah, so I don't know how to reach out to those folks. Like, people I think of are, Clonos and Doc Wilmot. I don't know that those people have any interest, but that's just, the community. That's who I'm thinking of. So.
Yeah, I was thinking this might be a great topic for an upcoming newsletter. Because we could solicit both people who are interested in working in Backdrop for Good in whatever areas they can, like project management, design, development, like anything we think we might need help with. But we could also solicit people who need projects, and we could have some, I don't know if you have an intake form or something that we could copy that's like, hey, let us know what your organization is, what you do, what your goals are, what you would hope to get out of it. And we can kind of collect this information from both contributors and those who they'd be helping. I think that would be a good way to solicit that, at least initially.
Yeah, that sounds like a fine thing to do to me. Did you guys, I put a blog post on here earlier. I don't know if it's worthy of the newsletter or not. Did you guys see it?
Oh, your best practices one?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. That was at serendipity.io, right?
Yeah. So I don't know if like...
I think I took it off the agenda. I was like, what? That's different. But on external sources is not different. So Nate, I'm not sure if you had a chance to see this. Is this under?
I have not seen
it. There it is. I was a little hesitant about putting something in the newsletter that's title was best practices if it wasn't actually best practices. Like, I don't think we want to tell our community to use Composer, for example.
Well, let me just change the title then. What should the thing be?
Just be like Jeff's practices.
How about like a development workflow?
Yep, that would work. But yeah, also, Jeff, we have this section on our website called Backdrop on the Web, where we have links to articles that appear anywhere else, which I think would be a great place to put it, like regardless of what its title is. And I think like it's totally fine if you want to call it best practices on your site for it to be called best practices. I just think it's not something that Backdrop should promote unless we're sure we know what best practices for Backdrop are.
I wrote the title before I wrote the thing. I'm not married to the title. I just put that title in order to have a title. So I'll change that to a development workflow. And then just a workflow that people can use or not.
Well, there's one last thing here on the agenda that Lauren put on here that is related to the website g2crowd.com, which g2crowd.com apparently does reviews of various software and systems and things like that. And there's a category in there for web content management or CMS systems. That includes, Drupal and Joomla and WordPress and everything of that nature. And so anyway, he posted a review on there of Backdrop. And I think he's just doing a call out if anybody else is interested in doing some reviews of Backdrop and posting how you feel about it. I think it's really awesome that Lauren posted this because, I mean, he is a contributor, but I think he's a user first. That people in this meeting are more, would probably be heavily biased in their reviews of Backdrop. But for those that are watching or out there, if you've used Backdrop and you want to kind of say how you feel about Backdrop, you can do so at g2crowd.com. And that would be awesome. Let's see. They just approved my initial review. yeah, so if we get to enough reviews, then it will start being recommended. Backdrop would start being recommended when people look at Drupal or WordPress as being like another CMS option. So could be an interesting way of generating a little bit more interest. So awesome. Thanks, Lauren, for writing that up as well.
Anything else we should talk about? Nope. Okay.
Nope.
Well, let's go ahead and wrap this meeting. We've got a weekly developer meeting starting in about 20 minutes. So we'll probably see you guys there. Thanks everybody for joining, watching, and watching later, should you be interested.
All right. Thank you.